Value is a topic we've talked about numerous times in the past. Still, it is something that a lot of traders fail to factor into their selections. With the invention of selection software, it has now become far too easy to get yourself fully focused on the strike rate, but this is only half of the equation. Once you know how often something happens, you need to correlate this with the price on offer. It sounds obvious, but it is often forgotten. In my opinion, not enough emphasis is placed on value when people are learning to trade. It is mentioned in videos, but never in any detail. A recent Guru Busters video and subsequent discussion on my CGMBet Discord server prompted me to reevaluate my own strategies relating to value. My pre-match analysis is good, but it became apparent that my in-play execution was flawed and needed refinement. Thankfully, CGMBet allows me to do this. This is yet another reason, if you needed another reason, why CGMBet is far superior to the rest of the market. In fact, there isn't even any point comparing anymore, because there's just nothing like it on the market. If you want to purchase CGMBet, you can now do so from our own link. This will get you a significant discount off the current list price of the software. Just go to the link on the screen and also in the description of this video or the links section from our YouTube homepage to make your purchase and join many other users of this excellent betting and trading tool. Purchasing CGMBet also gives you access to many free Lessons in Logic software applications, such as the Power BI dashboards, the Lessons in Logic simulator, and the Lessons in Logic market data viewer. So before we get started into live examples, which I know you enjoy, let's refresh our mind on how we should be looking at value. Imagine you have used your selection software and you have created a high risk strategy and you have ascertained that it has a 25% success rate. This means that to break even, you will need decimal odds of 4. So a pound stake will give you a £3 profit. So over 100 runs, you would expect to win £75, which is your £3 profit for 25 wins. At the same time, you would lose your £1 stake 75 times, breaking even in the process. But you don't break even. You need to add commission to your winnings. If you were on the 3% commission tier, you would be £2.25 down for your 100 bets. Hopefully, it is becoming clearer as to why value is important. Let's assume you were able to get odds on the same event of 4.6. This would give you £3.60 profit for each of your wins, so £90 for our 25 wins. You would still lose the same pound on the 75 losses, and even when we take the 3% commission off the winnings, we are still left with £12.30 profit. And to re-emphasise, we're getting higher odds here than the actual odds. So even though we've only won the same amount of games, 25%, then we are still in profit, whereas we would have taken a loss using the actual odds. How about if we were getting 3.8 odds for the event? We would win £70 for our 25 wins, and we would still lose the same £75 for our 75 losses. This loss is compounded further when we add on commission, giving us an overall loss of £7.10 using these odds. Seems simple, doesn't it? And it is, if you are prepared to study the odds, rather than just place a bet at any price, simply because your software says it meets all of your criteria. Sure, odds can be one of your criteria, and they absolutely should be. Wouldn't it be nice though if you could just view games that had potential value, even without having to make a strategy? Well, you can with CGMBet's Rating V module. We've covered this module previously, but now we will talk about value. It is definitely worth another look. So looking at yesterday's games here, we can quickly see how many CGMBet is highlighting as having value. If we just look at the back in the home win, for example, then we can see here what we've got is the calculated odds that the CGMBet software is giving us, and these are the odds which are on offer at the bookmakers. So we can see here straight away we're getting a lot of value where the bookmaker odds are considerably higher than the implied odds. So I've been testing this out recently with extremely micro stakes, and there is so much profit to be had. So in the National League, we had Brackley versus Sutton on Saturday, and we can see that the odds on offer at the bookmakers was 1.87 for a home win for Brackley, where CGMBet calculated the actual odds were more around 150, 1.485 in this instance. And on Betfair, we actually got on this market at 1.94 for Brackley, so we got even more value here. And as you can see, we're only using micro stakes here as we're just testing this out for a bit of fun, just to see what the impact was. And as we can see, the full-time score for this game was Brackley 1, Sutton 0. So we took a whole load of profit out of this game. Almost 50 points on what CGMBet thought the real odds were compared to what was on offer on Betfair. And we've done no analysis on this game other than looking at the odds. You would also need to look at the statistics that CGMBet is giving you just to work out why the odds discrepancy is there. But if there's no reason not to back the game, then you would be in profit over a long period of time using these odds. So it's worth emphasising at this point that CGMBet is not just a tool for getting selections. It goes far further than that, which is why it's the only data tool you need if you are serious about your trading. We can also analyse these games with our own Lessons in Logic soccer simulator, the only simulator that runs the game through multiple times to find inconsistencies with the odds. Another freebie for CGMBet customers. So we're going to run this game through 100,000 times. And we can see here the odds at the bookmaker are 1.78, whereas our simulator has predicted 1.42 for the home team. And we can also see other stats as well: first half goals, second half goals, odds for the overs market, correct score market, and also half time, full time, and various other stats as well. And we can see in the CGMBet Rating V module here, this has got the odds at 148 for the home win, so we're not far away. We were 142, but either way we can see that both systems are showing that there's definitely value in the home team here. And the results of the game, a 1-0 home win to Viking. So we can see there the goal coming 61st minute, and the odds did drop to 167 on these bookmakers at the start of play, but we were in for a nice profit there thanks to the Rating V module and also our own Lessons in Logic simulator, which, again, to re-emphasise, is free for CGMBet customers. It's not just the match market that we can use the Rating V module for, we can use it for the overs and unders as well. If we're looking for over 2.5 goals, then we can see also lay prices here in pink and the back prices here in blue. So we've got both sets of data there. And we can also do both teams to score, both teams not to score. I haven't really tried that, if I'm being honest, but certainly backing the home team to win when they are the favourites and there's value is proving to be quite lucrative for me, even using small stakes just as a test. So now I've got the confidence for that, then I can up my stakes, not massively, because that would be irresponsible, but it's proving itself to be worthwhile analysing the home favourites where there's value. CGMBet is also the go-to tool for finding value in play. This is where the Guru Buster video confirmed my own execution had a flaw in it. Guru Buster says that drip feeding is not a good way of trading. Whilst I don't fully agree with this, as it allows me to enter the market earlier than I otherwise would if I were putting my whole stake in at once, it did highlight that I wasn't always getting value for my drips. I always used to make sure I was getting value on drip 1. If this was the case, I'd just put my subsequent drips in at regular intervals. There were no further checks to see if the value was still there or not. If you are just using software that only makes your selections on pre-match criteria, this would give you a problem. CGMBet allows me to easily see if I'm still getting value for my drips or not. We do this in the AGS module using the live feature. So we're now looking at the Irish game between Waterford and Shamrock, and we're looking for a first half goal here. So over 0.5, once that's refreshed, is 1.71, and the odds we're getting on Betfair is 1.74. So there's some slight value there, probably not when you add commission in, but that's looking promising. So with 13 minutes in this game, if we were dripping in, then we would say put our first stake in now, because we've got a bit of value there. It's now got to 173, so we've still got value there. And let's assume that we were going to wanted to put our next stake in at 1.8. So we'll come back once the Betfair odds hit 1.8 and see if we're still getting value or not. So now we can see that the Betfair odds are 1.8, and also the CGMBet odds are 1.8 as well. So there's no value anymore in dripping in on the first half over 0.5. There was for our first drip, but now on the second drip it's kind of broke even, and with commission we would be at a loss. Let's see when this refreshes again. So we're at 1.8 still now, and the real odds have gone up to 1.83. So it's touch and go whether there's any value there or not. Let's assume we didn't put our next strip in there because there was no value. So let's come back when the Betfair odds are 1.9 and see if we've got any value or not at that point. So we can see now that the in-play Betfair odds are at 1.9 for over 0.5 goals in the first half, and the CGMBet odds are 1.89. So you can see here just how accurate these CGMBet odds are. They're really close to the actual Betfair odds, and we can also see just how hard it is to actually get an edge in these markets. So when you're told do this basic strategy in some basic software and you're going to get an edge, it's really hard to actually get that edge. And if you do, like we've got 5 potential ticks there at the moment, it's very short term. So when this refreshes now, I'm guessing that's going to be close again to the 194. So we have still got a gap there. So now it might be worth putting in your 2 drips here, because obviously we missed one earlier because the value wasn't there. It looks like we might have a little bit of value here to get your 2 drips in at 196. And let's see what happens when these odds refresh again. And we're back to 194. So the gap there. So this only updates every 30 seconds. So it's not always going to be exact, but then it will correct itself. So again, with commission, we've got no value there whatsoever. And this is what others don't show you. This is the art of trading, really, that to try and get these 2 gaps as big as possible and to capitalise on the discrepancies. And it's really difficult, which is why the Rating V module is really worth its weight in gold for pre-match trading, because that identifies the discrepancies for you. We can also use our own market data viewer to analyse games of similar odds to the one in question. This is an enhancement to the software as it now integrates perfectly with our own SQL Server data project that we showed in an earlier video. So in this game we're looking at Waterford as the home team for first half goals over 0.5, going back February to current date, and we're looking in the 21st minute where the odds over 0.5 goals are between 1.8 and 2.4 in the 21st minute, and we're looking where they've gone up by more than 10%. And what we can do is we can select these games and we could see what's happened from, say, the 21st up to the 25th minute, and we can plot all those on the graph. We can see that they haven't scored. I've got an issue in this version where the odds go up to 1,000 when there's a goal rather than down to 1. But we can see here in the 26th minute of the game against Sligo last month, there was a goal. If we come across a bit further, we can see in the 34th minute of the game against Bohemians back in February, there was a goal. And the Derry game on the 25th of April, there was a goal in the 40th minute. So we can see that Waterford, when they've been between this range in the 21st minute, have had a goal in all 3 of those games. So that will be interesting to see if we get a first half goal in this game. While this doesn't tell you specifically value, we can see that if we're getting value in the CGMBet data, then we can see here that we did get goals in all 3 of these games. And right on cue, as soon as I pause the video, we've had a goal in the 28th minute. That goes to show again that using the value that CGMBet highlights against the Betfair odds and using our own market data viewer, it gives you a real vivid picture of how the games go. So we've identified the value in CGMBet, we've identified the likelihood of a goal in between those odds in the market data viewer. Remember, the market data viewer is totally free to all CGMBet users. The SQL data element of it is probably for more advanced users, if I'm being honest, because it's quite technical to get all the data into the warehouse, which the software then uses, but it's all perfectly doable. And I know users that are making use of that love it, and that is all free. And that in its own right is massive value. Which I don't know why more people don't sign up for CGMBet just for that, but that's me being biased. Hopefully we've re-emphasised how important it is to factor value into your trades and bets. Without it, you won't be a profitable trader. We've shown how CGMBet and our market data viewer will help you identify and manage the ever-moving value. And while we're on the subject of CGMBet and value, there's no better pound for pound, euro for euro software application for analysing and modelling football data. Add in all of the free lessons in logic software and it really is a no-brainer. And if you still want even more value, use our link and save even more money off the list price. Others may market their software in a better way, but you would expect that. It's their software. When someone who is not linked to any particular software solution is telling you to use CGMBet, it carries more clout. I became affiliated with CGMBet after using it. If it was crap, I wouldn't promote it. Anyway, enjoy finding value. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have, please comment, like and subscribe and help grow the channel. Your support really is appreciated. Thank you for watching.